Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Keane Talks United. I was going to say happy Monday, but fucking hell, it's just another miserable Monday for Man United fans. And Shane, for once, Arsenal got a result in a big game as well, so probably happy on a Monday as well. We're here today to talk all things Manchester United. We're also going to talk about Arsenal and as well as some other kind of topics in the Premier League as well, because a lot has happened this weekend. And not just today, it's Man United and Arsenal. So do smash like the video, do subscribe. And as always, we really do appreciate your support. A new face on the channel, Mr. Shane Gooner. Obviously, huge Arsenal fan, fellow Irishman, Joe, very good YouTuber. And Shane, just talk to us about your own YouTube channel and kind of what you do on your channel.
Yeah, well, it's just daily streams, mostly in the morning. I do the morning shows. I do a few panels here and there, but
oh my God.
Even today now, I've made a decision not to cut down on sort of panels. Yeah, you're still there. Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly now.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, no, just mainly the morning shows with the full Irish breakfast. But yeah, I even made a decision today that I'm not doing any of the sort of the split panel shows anymore with the other side of the Arsenal fence. I just can't be bothered. I'll wait till the end of the season. I'm tired of arguing the same points over and over again. The fan base is split. There's always a problem, and regardless of league position and that we beat Newcastle and stuff like that, for me, everything's still all wrong with the club. We shall see at the end of the season. But channels mainly sort of I suppose someone would call me a negative fan, but other people would call me realistic. But that's basically it.
But you know what, though? I think the thing about that is you stay true to yourself, and I think that's the best thing about your channel. And the one thing I really like about it is your interaction with your viewers. You're always interacting with comments, and you do not just Arsenal stuff, but like you do obviously the Serie A stuff, which I know Julio, you're a huge Serie A head as well. So like you have a bit of variety over there, which I think a lot of fans on YouTube lately are just all Man United centric, Arsenal centric, or Chelsea, Liverpool. Whereas, like over on your channel, you have a bit of everything for everyone, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I'm a football fan. You know, I mean, when I got into football when I was young, I'm obsessed with it now. But when I was young, it was beyond obsession. Everything I could get my hands on, videotapes, magazines, 442 magazine. I'd be waiting for that to come out. Anything I could get my hands on, and I probably had more of a football knowledge at that age than I do now, because I just absorbed everything I could. Like most of the sort of the geography I have in my head is from football. You know what I mean? Because that team's from that country, so that city must be in it. You know what I mean? That was everything I learned about, and I was football obsessed. My mates used to call me Stato and all because I just know everything. So I know a good bit now, but back then I knew even more. But that's, I'm generally a football fan, and I love talking about football, and I love, I like a debate, but when it gets all that sort of Jerry Springer like thing, it's just not for me, man. We're not 15, we're not in school anymore. You know what I mean? So I love having panel shows like this where it's just a football chat, or going on with Errol on Redmen TV, or just having my own panel where it's just people talking sense. I could do that all day. You know what I mean? So I'm a football fan, so I don't mind mixing it up. If people want to come into my chat and talk about West Ham, they want to talk about Everton, they want to talk about whatever, I'll give them my opinion on it because I'm a football fan. But if anything, talking about Arsenal is the one that gets me down the most. It's talking about football, I'm fine. Or if I talk about Arsenal back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I light up. You know what I mean? But it's only now people go, oh, you're miserable. Nah, man, it's just this manager makes me miserable. And I don't know if he ever will not make me miserable.
You know what? Just on that then, because obviously it's 5 years without a trophy, I suppose, in Arteta's reign right now. And there's like your fan base is very split, where a lot of fans think he pulled you from the pits. And a lot of the fan base would say, wait, he just took over a team that got to Europa League final. And now obviously you finally got your, I suppose, a big win in a big game where he I was shocked at the lineup first of all. So you seen Eze being in the middle of the park, not out wide, and Marino and them not starting, and then they go away to Newcastle and get a big result. Like, what's your feeling around, I suppose, Arsenal at the minute, and also I suppose the title race, because 2 points off Liverpool now. Obviously you've had a toughish start, I suppose, on paper with the fixtures. United away, Liverpool away, Newcastle away. Like, where's your head at now in regards to Arsenal?
Yeah, listen, the whole thing about getting the big teams out of the way. If you listen to the top gooners in our fan base, well, we're brilliant against the big teams. So the tough fixtures are the ones coming up. They're the ones we always slip up in. Fulham away, you know what I mean, Palace at home. They're the ones we always slip up in. And this manager especially slips up in them. Because if we didn't slip up in them, we would have won leagues by now. And if people want to turn around and they're coming into my chat saying, oh, what will you do if he wins the trophy? What do you mean, what will I do if Arsenal win a trophy? I'll celebrate. I support Arsenal, not the manager. That's where these guys get lost. They think that they support the manager. They've gone over to the dark side now. Because when they argue about Arsenal, they term it as Arteta all the time when they're putting up for it. You need to give him credit. You need this for Arteta. I was supporting the club long before Arteta got here, mate. You know what I mean? The club comes first. If he ends up winning a trophy, fine. And you know what? Even if he won the Premier League, he's still on fraud watch for me. And if any of them come in and say, you need to apologise, for what? Because if we had a different manager, we would have won 2 of the last 3 leagues. So it doesn't matter if he wins the next one, because that means he's only won 1 out of the 4 he should have won. So, yeah, for me, and with the Eze thing, him starting, people need to calm down with that as well, because if Odegaard was fully fit, Eze doesn't start in the middle. I don't even think he starts. I think that it would have been Trossard, Odegaard, Royce, Zubimendi, and Saka. So this thing about Eze being in the middle, CC, he'll do what he needs to do. Wait to see when the midfield's fully fit if he plays him there, because I promise you he won't. He'll stick him back out the wing again. So there's a lot of stuff that even in that game that people need to calm down about. The same fans that are bigging it up are the ones that were saying Liverpool scoring injury time goals isn't sustainable. Then we do it twice in a row, and that's how you win leagues. You know what I mean? So it's the double standards that get to me. So even with that, you know, if Gabriel could have been sent off before he scored that goal. He elbowed Voldemort in the face, really childish. After letting in the goal, he goes and elbows him in the face, doesn't get punished for it. But they ignore that. They ignore the fact that they could have had a penalty off his hand. It wasn't a penalty for me because it slipped off him, but they've been given. So there's loads of little bits and pieces that on a different day, it doesn't go your way. Oh, we should have had a penalty. Fine, we should have. So, yes, there was more positives than negatives in that game. But there was still plenty of negatives that, you know, that on a different day you get found out. So for me, he has to go now and win 5 on the spin. The next 5 league games on the spin and convincing performances before we even start to have a conversation, because we know what this guy does. He wins big games, then he goes and slips up, then he cries about it, and then the fans say, oh, well, he didn't have this player, he didn't have that player. And I'll finish on this. Havertz is back in training. So if anyone thinks that there's a bit of equilibrium with this team at the moment, he's going to find a way to shoehorn him back into that team, because that's his guy. He's going to shoehorn Odegaard back in, and before you know it, we'll have the same lineup from last season, and we'll start to slip up, and then we'll have all the tears and stuff again. But if he's top come, I've said this before on my show, I have so little faith in this guy that even if we are 3 points clear on the last game of the season away to Palace, and we can lose the league on goal difference, I'd still have a feeling he's going to let it go, because he's a loser by nature. So if he proves me wrong, fine. He's still on fraud watch, because he needs to win 2 or 3 leagues in a row to make up for all the ones he's missed out on.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the thing about it is with Arteta, I think it's needs must now about him winning the big trophy this season. I think anything between the FA Cup, I think Champions League and Premier League for me are needs must one of them, because even that FA Cup, me and Julio talk about this a lot, where he done it with Emery's team, you know, and people give Arteta the credit for that FA Cup, whereas I look at it, that's Emery's squad he won it with, you know, and you look at that starting 11. I don't think there's any players left from that starting 11 that's actually at Arsenal now. And also as well, like if you're 1.3 billion pounds deep, like I think that's where like those trophies have to be won, because like the one thing, like I don't rate Arteta essentially, right? I don't in terms of like elite manager, right? I don't think he's in that Joe Pep, Arne Slot, Joe Hansi Flick category.
No,
I think he's not in that A+ category. Do I think he's a decent enough manager where he's a B+? Maybe. Do in that regard, I think he might be okay in that respect, in terms of like how he can, I suppose, organize a team, be defensively solid. But like he's not in that category for me where he can be a top manager. And I look at your team, even if you had Jose Mourinho the last couple of years, even though he's probably past his best, but if you had a manager like that, Conte, managers like that, they probably would have got you over the line in the last couple of years.
Sure. Yeah.
And I look at Arteta and I look at it like the talent. I said this to you on your own channel, Shane. I look at the level of talent you have in your squad, like your midfield, your centre backs. Now you have Gyökeres. For me, there's absolutely no excuse to win a trophy this season. Not even the champion, not even the one with the big years. I'm talking about a trophy. And I feel like he needs to do that now to show a next step, because if he doesn't, like for me, he has to go. And I think Julio, from an outside perspective, would you agree that it needs must for a trophy for Arteta this year? Or would, like, I suppose there's a lot of other fans who I suppose are on the other side of the Arsenal fence who think regardless of what happens, he should stay, because even we've had chats with Man United fans who think Arteta should stay. Where's your head at with him?
I think, obviously, I'd love Arteta to stay because it means Arsenal won't win shit for a good number of years. I saw Saliba's contract, and I said backstage, my cousin's an Arsenal fan, so we just like hating on each other and laughing at each other where we can. And as a United fan, it's difficult at the moment, given the position we're in. But I like when Saliba's contract came through, I said he's just signed over his career to winning nothing for the next 5 years. So, have fun with all that. I like to obviously take a neutral standpoint with a lot of things in, how I view a manager, and I think Shane actually hits the nail on the head about top Gooners and what they're saying, because we see the same with top Reds at United, where they hate player FC, but they are literally the cause of manager FC. And I feel like every manager we've had, we watch them make a choice with a player, and everyone's immediate reaction is to back the manager at the detriment of the player. Doesn't matter. And then in hindsight, actually, maybe we were wrong about that. I think Arteta's taken Arsenal as far as he can. I mean, if he proves me wrong, he proves me wrong. But I'm very much on the same page as Shane there, where, like, okay, you've got this Big Six record, fantastic, but Fulham away, Palace at home, those are going to be your toughest games this season, respectfully, because you always slip up in those games. Every year we see that. West Ham at home last season, or this year before, I can't remember when it was. You lost 2-0 at home at Christmas at the Emirates in a 3-way title race, supposedly. I think Arteta's level, I think it's not a bad level, but I think if Moyes leaves Everton in 2 years' time, challenging for Europe like he was at West Ham, that's Arteta's level, I think, in terms of what kind of top job he can get, but not a top 4, a top 6 side that is going to hopefully look to challenge leagues like they've done in the past. Like if I think the original top 4, for example, United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, not that level where every year going into the season, they were in a title race, whether it be a month until March, who knows? So I do agree with that sentiment. I think he has to win a trophy, full stop, but I just don't see how he is going to be able to do that. I think he's taken him as far as he can. I just don't see him. If Arsenal are going to win again, I just don't see him being the guy. There's a certain gentleman in the Arsenal fan base who likes to remind everyone of something, and I actually agree with him on this. It's Wenger's worst 5 years were better than Arteta's last 5 years.
But
Mr. Lee Gunner, hit the nail on the head.
Yes. Trophies, finals. So the aim of football is not to finish second every year, like Arteta likes to keep doing. He's almost a bigger bottle job than Spurs with Arsenal, if I'm being perfectly honest.
But he is, because they've won a trophy. He's bigger. They've won a trophy.
Exactly. Unfortunately, we handed them the trophy, and I still haven't forgiven our manager for doing that. But, that aside, I just... Yeah, you can kind of see where my head is. I just don't think Arteta is that guy, to be perfectly honest.
You see, that's a great point, though. But that's Arteta's biggest achievement. That's the most clever thing he's done, was convince the world that we were a mid-table team before he took over. Because that's what he's done. He's systematically done that. We did it as soon as he came in and started talking about phases and processes. And every time, even to this day, even recently, as much as last week, he'll talk about how bad things were before he took over. He's constantly reminding people, to the point now where people say, at first it was, Emery had us in 8th. Do you want us to be finishing 8th, like when Emery came? Well, he did. He finished 5th. Arteta finished in 8th. Then he finished in 8th again. That was him that did that, not Emery. Emery finished 5th in his one and only season, 2 points off the Champions League, and he got to Europa League final. Arteta finished 8th, then 8th. Then the next season, he was 20th after 3 games, 3 losses, 9 let in, 0 scored, after a bucket load of money spent. But all these top Gooners will say, do you want to go back to finishing 8th? And now that we've been all online for the last year or two, just proving them wrong. No, hang on. Arteta finished 8th, and he finished 8th. So the new one is they go hypothetical. Oh, well, Arteta saved us from relegation. That's what they're saying now. Arteta saved us from relegation. That's the narrative now. So they've painted this really cleverly. Arteta is PR machine, but mostly him. Then he spreads it out to the AFTVs and all these guys, and they go and spread it that the things were turmoil when he came, and all these players were on massive wage, and everybody was laughing in training, and nobody was taking it serious. Now they promote all the players laughing in training. Oh, look at how happy everybody is. It's very clever what they do, but Arteta would be a politician. Joe, what's funny, and you mightn't even like to hear this, a job that he would be suited to would be United. If you got him in for 2 years and the deal was once he gets you steady, then you get in the next, that should be what he is. He should be a fixer-upper that comes in, gets rid of the dead wood, stays for 2 years, gets the team up to about 5th or 6th, and then he goes and you get in an actual winner. Because if we had done that in 22-23, we would have won trophies. If we had got rid of him and got in a Conte, a Mancini, a Inzaghi, someone like that, we would have won 2 of the last 3 leagues easily. So that should be all he does. If he is ever going to get a big-ish job, should be come in, steady the ship, and then you get rid of him before he can get his claws really into the team.
Yeah, 100%. Like I feel like he's a rebuilder. I think he's like, for me, I look at him and I think, yeah, you can win big games, but like he doesn't have that testicular fortitude to go on and win like a big trophy. Whereas like you mentioned, I remember you mentioned it, I think it was like 2 weeks ago on your show, one of the Full Irish shows, where you said obviously defense and like to defending and winning games is okay, but like taking risks is where you win titles.
Yeah,
and we see that like United in '99. You see Jose's Chelsea done it in 04 or 05. They were like defensively solid, but they were a flying very good counter-attacking team. City with Aguero, as much as like that's one of the most painful moments of my life. But like again, they took risks and went to the end. Whereas I look at Arsenal, I feel like if I know yesterday he kind of let the handbrake off a small bit, but like he hasn't done that fully. And I look at players like Saka, I look at players like Royce. I even look at Martinelli like before Arteta joined. Like he was really, really good. He was a really, really good player. There was Skelly, Joe, Timber. There's a good nucleus of players there who like have really high ceilings. And I think better manager, they could like be proper world-class players. And like that's where I look at it. And like he's holding Arsenal back, even though like Arsenal are still technically challenging for titles in spite of him. Do you know what I mean? Like he's kind of doing it. Sorry, they're doing it in spite of Arteta. So be interesting to see what happens if he doesn't win a trophy this year, especially the fact you've had a big outlay this summer in terms of like money spent. So like I know Andrea Berta's come in as well, so it's kind of one of them where do Arsenal decide what they want going forward?
Yeah, I do think he has to win big. People are saying no, the Cronkies are happy with top 4, but it's shifted this summer. As it was DJB said it to me, and I've been saying it. If they were happy with top 4, they would have only spent about half of what they did. They wouldn't have spent that amount if it was top 4. This is, you better make the next step. Josh has said trophies now. He's never said that before. He's been at every game. He's probably been at more games this season than the last 3 or 4 years combined. Bert is in now. So this is trophies, which this guy cannot win. Like people talk about the FA Cup. He was only in the job 6 months. He hadn't got his claws into the team yet. We still had players that would take the game by the scruff of the neck and go against his system. Aubameyang did it in the semis, did it again in the final. He got rid of all of them. He got rid of Aubameyang, got rid of Ozil, he got rid of Emi Martinez, he got rid of Guendouzi, or any player that would stand up to him. The only problem is that when you have a load of yes men, they don't get over the line. They might get close. Yeah. They might get close, but they don't get over the line. They don't have that killer instinct. And what we saw on the weekend was, he brought another defender on at 1-1. He brought Lewis Skelly on and went back to a 4 at the back. So he was thinking, I don't want to lose this. Now, granted, he did point out to them and say 8 minutes and said, go forward. But he still put that little bit of conservative, I don't want to lose it's a point gained, and you just don't get it that way. You know, it's the whole thing of Martinelli running into the crowd against City and only Zubamendi, the only one grabbing the ball, everybody else in celebrating, Arteta himself running down the line. You know, I've said it on my show, United didn't even do that in the European Cup final in 99. They got on with it and hit them while they were down. If they had sat back and let that game go to extra time, Bayern would have regrouped and probably done them, because Bayern had killed them in that final. Absolutely killed United in that 99 final. So if United had given them time to breathe, got it to extra time, they would have regrouped and they probably would have gone on to win it. But Ferguson went, no, get the ball. Let's score the second. While they're winded, score the second. So then Arsenal go and do it on Sunday. They grab the ball. Rice tells Mourinho, stop celebrating. We can still win this. It sends a message. They get the second. And then all of these guys that are messaging me on X going, you don't get to celebrate because you're this and you're that and blah, 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 blah. I'm looking at them going, well, you're only getting that feeling, that euphoria, because Arteta went and did all the stuff that we've been demanding for the last few years. This is what we've been demanding. Better football, attacking football, go for the second, play as in the middle. So if anything, you don't get to celebrate because you're the one that was putting up with the rest of it, So this is the thing. He will go back to type, though. This is what he does. He feels the pressure. He changes just enough to ease the pressure, so he can sit there smug in a press conference and go, "Oh, you see, I can let the handbrake off," and then he'll go back again. We'll play one of the Fulhams who we have away, or West Ham at the weekend. It'll go to halftime at 0-0, and then all the panic will set in, and we'll end up dropping points somewhere along the line, and we'll go right back. If we don't, if we win 5 in a row, then I'll go, well, let's see what we do in the next 5. But up until then, he ain't going to win me over after one game.
Yeah, definitely not. And I think people trying to point score then as well as saying, where are you now? Like, it's one game. Yeah. Like, we have it in our fan base at times as well, like, where, me and Julio have been quite vocal about Ruben Amorim this season. And it's kind of like, when he wins, then it's kind of like a situation where people are like, oh, see, it's not the system, it's the players. And like, it's scandalous, really. But now that you talk about winning 5 games in a row and even getting back-to-back wins, we're going to talk about a team who you don't know when the next win is coming, which is Manchester United. Julio, there's been numerous reports since Saturday, obviously, that Ruben Amorim's job is under threat, and that Jim Ratcliffe's been, I suppose, earmarking some potential replacements. I'm not going to talk about the Brentford game at all, because we'd be here all day in terms of what went wrong. But it's quite clear Ruben Amorim's few days are numbered as Man United's manager at this moment in time. Where's your head at? Do you think the club should just pull the trigger now and I suppose stabilise going into the next international break and try to salvage the season, or are you in the very small vocal minority that thinks we should stick with this manager and just sack all the players? Because that seems to be there's still some of them on Twitter at the moment.
I hate that minority, and I hate the tweets where they say it took Arteta 5 years to do this. It took Klopp 5 years to do this. Right, but so are we just going to be shit for 5 years and then magically it's going to come good? No, like the one thing I will hold Arteta on the same thing as Klopp. The only thing I will is the fact that both came in mid-season, and after they had 2 full years in their jobs, that third season they were in a title challenge. Granted, Klopp didn't win the league. Granted, Arteta bottled the league horribly. But respectfully, after 2 full years, their football clubs were challenging for leagues. Right now, we do not look anything close to that. And I hate this thing of, it's back the manager, it's the players or whatever. I just hate all this talk, because I already said about Manager FC, it just feels like there's no accountability for the manager from the fan base, and it's annoying. Like,
we've done this with Ten Hag as well. Remember when we won the FA Cup?
We did this with Ten. Oh my goodness, yeah.
We've done this with Ten Hag as well. And the fans were like saying, "Oh, I need to back the manager. Look, he won us a trophy." But that was just euphoria after beating Man City in a final. Yeah. If we're being realistic, like all the metrics, all the underlying numbers had us in 16th that season. The season before we finished 15th. Like every underlying metric said United should have been 15th or 16th. The only reason why we didn't finish 15th and 16th that season was McTominay and Bruno in the second half of the season pulled it out of our arse to get us into the top half of the table. Do you know what I mean? And then you look at this season with Amorim, we finished 15th, lost the Europa League to Tottenham, and it's like there's still kind of the vocal minority that are saying keep him, and I'm like, how? Why? And Julio, you know I'm one to back a manager to the hill, especially under the Glazers, because the Glazers have done untold damage to this club. I've always said, so we need to get them out.
But we all do.
We
all do. If our football club hires a manager, we are going to back him. We're going to support him and hope he gets it right. Even if we didn't like the appointment, I mean, I liked the Amorim appointment, but I thought he would develop actually and learn on the job and realize. I said on a show a year ago, I can't remember where, but I said that he will understand, well, he needs to understand that his ideal blueprint that he's got in his head right now, that is not 100% going to be implemented in the short term, in the long term. He needs to learn to be able to tweak and adapt based on the league. And you can do that without abandoning your principles. And if you can't, then I'm sorry, but Management 101 is platforming what you've got and working with it. And if you can't do that, you're just limited. And what I'm seeing is not sustainable. He's been in the job, 10, 11 months? He still hasn't won back-to-back Premier League games. I don't care whether we were playing Højlund last season or prime Cristiano Ronaldo. That is terrible. That is so bad. And every time we win, it's like the next opponent sets up, presses us, and it looks easy. Keith Andrews set up to play us like we weren't one of the top teams. He didn't set up against us the way he would do against tough teams. He's like, right, they're going to give us, we need to give them a game, or they're going to make it, it's going to be difficult for us. That is a sad indictment. And I think he's got a 51% loss rate. And that is absolutely dreadful. I don't care this is relegation form. And I think what's good for the next manager, if we do sack him as soon as possible, because I'm not going to lie to you, I don't have much faith in Ineos at the moment. And I've been very supportive of them. But the way things are going, they're sleepwalking to the inevitable. And we can't let this go on for too late until it's too late and we're just sacking off another season. I can't have that.
We done it with Ten Hag last year. Like I said after Spurs, well, actually before Spurs, when we lost 3-0, I remember I was messaging you, Julio, before I jumped on my flight. And I was like, I think we should, regardless of what happens this weekend, we should pull the trigger now. Because like we were only, I think, at the time, 4 points off fourth at the time, which was respectable at the time. And I was like, okay, pull the trigger on Ten Hag now, get a new manager in, get top four, and then go for the juggler in terms of rebuilding the club last summer. The club didn't pull the trigger. And then what happened? We lost against Spurs. Then we lost against West Ham. And then all of a sudden, we sacked them about 6 weeks too late. And the season was gone at that point. And then what they done was they brought in a niche manager who plays three at the back. Now, I don't care who it is. Three at the back doesn't suit Manchester United Football Club. Personally. I don't think it's a long-term system. Van Gaal came in and tried to play it. He quickly found out he couldn't play it at United. Right? That happened very quickly. Ollie only done it a couple of times when he needed a result. Long-term, not sustainable. Jose tried using it a couple of times. Doesn't work. Like, when you go to Old Trafford, the fans demand fast, fluid, attacking football. Like, that's non-negotiable. Like, Shane, you would have seen the games between Fergie and Wenger back in the day where they're fast-paced, hard attacking football. Like, for me, that's non-fucking negotiable. And if you're getting a three-at-the-back system where it's very slow, very pragmatic, it just doesn't work. And I know Conte is the outlier in the Premier League where he won the league with a three at the back. Conte is the outlier there because he literally had like Kante and all them. Like, there's no shock he won the Premier League with a three at the back with him in midfield.
Conte had sorry to cut in, Keane, but Conte had the specialist profiles that Amorim needs. The problem is you're not always going to get those. And the one thing Conte has over Amorim, apart from bags of experience and league titles, Conte's adaptable. Conte won the league with Napoli last season, not playing solely three at the back. Played a four at the back for the majority of the season. There were games where he changed it up a bit, granted, but like at least Conte is one of the most tactically adaptable managers in world football. And I think what you mentioned there about three at the back is actually because I'm seeing names like Glasner being thrown around. I wouldn't take Glasner because I think when you're at the teams like Palace, the way you play with the formation, the system, etc., you can get away with playing like underdog football. But when you're at a top club like United, how much does that carry weight against when you're playing against the top sides? There are going to be games as well when you are the top side. How are you with control of the ball? And I think what frustrates me more is the fact that this fan base will defend Amorim, who's not winning back-to-back matches, and you literally say any manager, if you say to them, all right, well, let's get Conte, they're like, nah, let's not get Conte. He plays terrorist football, or he will leave after 3 years or whatever. I'm sorry, but that football management is not 25 years, not 15 years. Simeone is the outlier. That doesn't make it the rule in world football currently. So I think United, if they are to change manager, which for me, I think is the right thing to do, if they can't get the permanent in now, if they, get the interim in, but if there's a permanent manager that they can support, that they see is the option, which I don't really have much faith for, like I said, for Ineos, because of how well the Amorim choice went. I think it's got to be someone who, I don't want these niche hipster managers. I think you've got to, let's look at Juve, for example, right? When Juve came up after the Calciopoli and they didn't win the league for a few years, Conte comes in, wins them three on the bounce, and then leaves. It takes a big, winning manager, someone with a proven track record, someone who's a big enough personality to galvanize an entire football club and change the culture. And the fact that there are managers out there like Conte who could do it probably instantly, I think these are the kind of guys we have to go for, because I just don't think supporting niche hipster managers is the way to go. I'm sorry, you've got to get a winning manager in who can get results, win trophies. There will be, and also who can use whatever's there. We don't need to rebuild all this. I'm sorry, you don't need to rip up and throw away 10 players to sign new ones. You can work with what's there. You need evolution, not revolution. And I just think that if you're not, so Jim said we're going to hire a manager, have a style of play, and that's the style of Man United. What City did was they hired an Italian pragmatist who knew how to win leagues. He was there, 3.5 years? Won a league title, won an FA Cup, then he left. Next manager comes in, like Pellegrini. The style of play changes, but there is squad continuity between Mancini and Pellegrini. And then when Pep comes in, there's still squad continuity. There's 5 or 6 players, key players, still there from when Mancini won the first league. So if United went the next 10 years, let's say Conte, Allegri, Inzaghi, United, I think, would have a good enough platform, good enough foundation for either of those managers. But there's also a development and an evolution in the style of play. Now, I know everyone says, but the style of football or whatever. No one cares if you're winning. We had Jose Mourinho, who everyone would call part of the bus. He was winning 4-0 every other week at one point with us. So I just think that you can get your attacking style of play. I get the whole United way, youth, courage, success. But there aren't a lot of those candidates around. Give it 3 years, for example, maybe there is the perfect candidate. But right now there isn't. And what are you going to do? Hold out? I'm finishing on this. I'm just going to say, would you rather hold out until that manager comes along, or get someone who wins now with what's there? You can build a solid foundation and platform for the future with, regardless of whether it's through Carrington or just winning. That's how it starts for me.
Yeah. Well, that's a great point of what you said about Conte coming in and getting things instantly and using what's there, because when he came into Napoli, they'd finished 10th the previous season. He won the league. You know what I mean? So, and when he went into Chelsea, he went with the back four. We smashed them 3-0. And he said, you know what, I'm going back to my 3 at the back. But the thing with his 3 at the back is it is more of a 3-4-3 than a 5-3-2, or we're a 5-2-3. It's a very attacking 3-4-3. And if you look at what Julio said there as well about coming in and using what's there, you have to remember that he turned fucking Victor Moses into a class right wing back in that team. Victor Moses did nothing before and after. You know what I mean? It was literally just the Conte years when he was a baller. He got in the England team and everything, So he used what was there. He regenerated certain players. He got the best out of everybody. And that's what you often hear that to me on my show. It's managers that get the best out of the players they have. That's a real coach. Where Arteta's the opposite. He doesn't get the best out of anybody. Maybe a couple of defenders, maybe timber, but then he ends up flogging them into the ground. And, but if you get the best out of players, look at Conte with McTominay. That's a baller now. Like it's not just a flash in the pan season what he had. He has just unlocked them. And I don't even like that term. It's a real modern term. But I'm with Julio as well. These again, my stance on these hipster managers, man. That it's such a trend at the moment to get them in, with the 3/4 length pants and the tight t-shirts and all that. And you see they all have gimmicks. Like apparently it's out now that Arteta's getting RAF pilots in now to talk to the players and so like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Stop with the gimmicks. As soon as he gets a good result, then he goes, "Oh, do you know what I'm going to do?" And Amorim's the same with when he put his feet up at Old Trafford for the penalty. I couldn't believe that when he put his feet up. He put it up on the wall in the dugout. I mean, if I did that at home, my man would still clip me around the ear. You know what I mean? For putting your feet up on the front. But you know what I mean? It's just show some respect. Like you're in Old Trafford, show some respect. And the whole thing with the tactics board and not looking and staring at the ground. Like someone put up about him staring at the ground against Brentford. They were saying, what if the players look over and see that? Your own manager just staring at the ground. Like, come on, man. Puff your chest out and have a bit about you. So I think that if United could afford someone like a Conte, he's not going to leave Napoli now, but he's under pressure at the moment. Strangely enough, I'm talking to Gianni. He says if he doesn't win the league this season, they'll sack him because they've spent 200 million, which is massive for them. That's the standards over there. They'll sack him if he doesn't win the league, So he's the dream manager for someone like I said to come in and not just get some success, but he'd still leave a bit of a decent team. He'll improve all the players that are there. So when the next manager comes in, it looks completely different. Because if he had to come into United like a year and a half ago, McTominay would be one of the best players in the league. And that would be unheard of. You know what I mean? Because this guy would get the best out of him. Now, I never understood at United how they couldn't understand it, because McTominay always plays that sort of 10, Roman 10 for Scotland. And then he'd come back to United and they'd put him back in defensive midfield again. What are you doing? I was just watching him play for Scotland. He scored 2. So there is a certain... And Keane, you said it before as well, and I fully agree. And Gianni said it too, and it's a great point, is that these managers need to know that if you come into one of these big teams, United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, maybe not even so much Chelsea, but definitely those 3, there's a style of play that's a prerequisite, or there's something there that's a prerequisite. Arsenal's only changed in the 90s when Wenger came in. And even before George Graham, Arsenal were known for playing quite attacking football. Not really attacking football, but they were known for playing nice football. We always had good attackers. We always had... the Ian Wrights, the Alan Smiths, and you keep going back, and there was always attacking players there. We had Alan Ball for a while, Liam Brady, players like that. So there was always you have to have a bit of play. But Wenger sort of switched it, then it became beautiful football. But when you come in, you have to sort of follow some of the rules. The style is there for a reason. So with Amorim, it becomes a stubbornness thing, and Arteta's the same. All these young managers are the same. Everybody in the stadium groans when he subs off a centre-back and brings on another centre-back. Yet he does it time and time again. No matter what the score, whether you're winning, losing, or drawing, he will do it. And that is just I'll show you who's boss. It's like Arteta standing outside the rectangle outside the manager's area. He'll make sure he stands outside it every time. That's a rules don't apply to me because I'm Mikel Arteta, right? So they all have this thing about being a gimmick and stuff like that. So United do need the next manager they get. It's the same with me for Arsenal. I want some grizzled old Italian or some Argentinian or some guy that has no ties to the club, that hates press conferences, that comes in and says, I'm here to win, that gets the best out of players. And I don't want any gimmicks, man. I don't want some young lad coming in and he's bamboozling the reporters and stuff like that. I want someone like a Conte who just stares them down when they ask a stupid question. And that's what United need as well. They need a no-nonsense manager to come in and just kick some ass. And which they're lucky enough, because there is a few of them out there. I'd even take Mancini if I was at United. If I was a United fan, I'd take Mancini. But it wouldn't be the first choice, but I'd take him.
That would stir up some shit.
I know it would stir up, but who cares? You know what I mean? Yeah. You aren't in there's no sentiment at the moment. You know what I mean? It's not like he's an ex-City player. You know what I mean? It's a different thing. There's no sentiment right now. Get him in.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think for me, I need someone for me who's done well in England. I think that's one of the things that is kind of on my kind of criteria. Someone who's done well in England, someone who plays good, fast attacking football that's entertaining. I'm saying that probably selfishly as a season ticket holder goes. Like I want to be entertained. I want to be, off my seat because that's what I've been brought up on, going to games all my life. So that's something I want to see. I want to see winning football. Like for me, the closest thing in England to what I think is a Man United type manager, let's say outside of the Peps and Arne Slots and that, is Eddie Howe. He's someone I look at and I'm thinking he's like style of football wise in terms of pace, power, and being defensively solid as well. He's probably the closest thing to a Sir Alex style. Not now, before people take me out of context, clip this up. So the internet loves this. I think he's the closest thing to like an aggressive Sir Alex team that like presses hard, attacks, but is also defensively solid. Like I think he's the closest thing to what we would have had definitely in the later years of Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying it from a trophy perspective because there's absolutely no comparison there, but I think Eddie Howe's one of them for me where like he's done well to rebuild Newcastle. He's kind of done what Arteta's done, but he's done it then winning a trophy.
Yeah.
And he's platform players like a Joe Linton.
With half the money as well.
Yeah. Like even at that, right, half the money, and then he's improved players like a Joe Linton.
Every player's improved on them. Every single player.
Yeah. You were saying on your show the other day, like Anthony Gordon was a bum at Everton, like, and then he.
Yeah, I didn't rate him. I didn't know why. I didn't know why they were signing him. Didn't know why they were signing him. I thought he was decent, but I think he's turned him into a great player. And the main one, like if you look across the front line, you go through the whole team, they've all improved. Joe Linton's probably the biggest success story. You know what I mean? Because he was just a failed striker. He was a laughingstock. You know what I mean? And he put him back into midfield, and people, he's tug, but he's brilliant. That midfield for me is the best midfield in England. That trio is the best midfield in England for me. You know what I mean? I think as a system, I've always said it that like if they play, let's say they kind of play a 6 and 2 8s, but you could rotate the three of them into any of the positions and it would still work. You could push Tonali forward and put Bruno back, it would still work. You could put Joe Linton as the 6 and you can move them all around. They can all do everything. But I think that apart from Joe Linton, Jacob Murphy, he was just a championship winger, really. That's all he was. And I'm not saying he's brilliant, but he's very, very good when he's on his day.
He's productive.
Yeah.
I was going to come to a couple of comments here as well. AFC always says Man United are looking at Xavi and Southgate to replace Amorim if and when he gets sacked. Well, I'll tell you one thing. If Gareth Southgate comes in as Man United's manager, fuck me. The crack
I heard
out
Potter today as well.
Oh, I've seen that as well. Now, luckily, that was like a South American. Luckily, right? That when I've seen that on Twitter this morning, and luckily that was like a South American journalist that was quoting another journalist. Right. So I was like, okay, I'm safe on that one. And then Southgate, Ineos seemed to have a hard on for him, which I
Radcliffe's mates with him, isn't he?
Yeah, Radcliffe's mates with him. Yeah, so that would be a disaster. Xavi would be an interesting one. Xavi would be an interesting one because his style of play is very like possession based, but he platforms young players too. So it'd be very interesting to see if he got the job, what he would do with the current squad and current players. I think the biggest benefit from a Xavi managerial reign would be Kobbie Mainoo, I think.
Oh yeah, he'd be a starter for him. He'd be a starter for him,
Yeah, 100%. BBK Sports says big love to the panel, big love to you too. Do subscribe to BBK Sports as well. And AFC always says, Shane, what's this bullshit with Mikel Arteta inviting the RFA fighter pilots to Arsenal in order to improve in how he speaks to the players? Yeah, it's madness.
Unbelievable. It's all gimmicks with this guy. He's a walking gimmick, man. Amorim's the same. Pickpockets and fucking speakers. You know, that thing with the speakers. People laugh about that when he brought in the speakers to play You'll Never Walk Alone. We lost the game 4-0. We lost 4-0. And it was 0-0 and we were playing well until he got in a scrap with Klopp on the sideline and got the Anfield crowd going. So all his hard work was done. But this guy, man, I swear to God, you know me, man. It's got to the point now where it's almost personal with him. Like it's almost, I can't even look at him. Can't even look at him.
Yeah, Mikel Bundy, as you call him.
Oh, man, he's a psychopath. But look, it's another gimmick. Whenever he gets the people on his side, he knows what he's doing. Everybody thinks that he's the greatest manager in the world again because we won one game at Newcastle. You know what I mean? All the last 3 times you've lost and being dog walked, it gets swept under the carpet. But yeah, it's just another gimmick. It's just another gimmick from him. That's all it is. Get in fighter pilots. What's he doing? This guy.
Yeah, next minute now he'd be getting chefs in to teach the defenders how to be organized and.
I'm telling you, yeah.
there'll be something next. I think from now on, I think if you're a big club like in the big top four, like an Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United, I think it's non-negotiable. You have to ban managers who wear cargos and knitted tops to manage the club. I think that's going to have to be a banning thing. But to kind of move away from both of our clubs, because even though Arsenal won at the weekend, it's frustration on your side, and it's always frustration on our side, Julio, as United fans every week, whether we're on here or on Red Brew or on Talk to Devils with the lads, it's constant doom and gloom. So I think we're going to have to bask in the light of other clubs' misery, because for once it's kind of one of them things where it's not really United and Arsenal who are having problems. Chelsea obviously lost on the weekend 3-1 to Brighton, and again another sending off. There was kind of some reports this weekend from some outlets saying that Maresca's under pressure. But then also, Joe, there's other reports saying, Joe, at the moment it's kind of, Joe, they're not going to assess him to the end of the season. What are we saying, lads, in terms of Chelsea this season? Because they bought players like Gittins, Garnacho, and others, but then they're not being used. Joe, is it a case where Maresca isn't trusting the players? And again, is he like managers like Ruben Amorim, Mikel Arteta, where he's kind of stuck in his ways, and is he lacking, I suppose, risk at this moment in time?
I think Maresca was always, one thing I always look at with these hipster coaches actually is how much of a bridge manager they are. So obviously Shane mentioned earlier about, if United got Arteta for 2 or 3 years, that kind of bridge manager who comes in, sees maybe the evolution of the side and the football club, and then only takes him as far as he can. And I feel like Maresca is that. I expected Chelsea to kick on a lot better. I know it's 6 games in, but I expected them to kick on a little better from obviously last season winning the Conference League, which I don't care what people say, is a trophy. Even the Club World Cup. I think there are good players in there. Forgetting Gittins and Garnacho, I'm thinking the likes of João Pedro, for example. It's a shame that Liam Delap obviously got the injury he did. Palmer's out injured again. But I just think it's kind of showing that they still got the weaknesses in places. You can buy all the forwards you want in the world, but you're still weak in goal and even in defence. I still think they need an elite centre-half. I still think they need an elite goalkeeper. We know what Robert Sanchez is. We know what he's about. The fact that they haven't rectified that after another summer is, even after the Maignan deal fell through, that really surprised me.
On that, Julio, on that, we were speaking about, I was speaking to Sean Maroney on this. Also, he's a regular here, Chelsea fan here on the channel. He was surprised Chelsea didn't even look at Quiveen Kelleher on a cheap deal that Brentford got him. Because Chelsea were looking at him earlier on in the summer, and then they decided to stick with Sanchez. It's surprised they didn't even go for him, because he would have improved them exponentially. And I'm not saying that with Irish players. I'm saying like the numbers and what he's done for Liverpool in the last couple of years, and with country kind of proves that as well.
Well, Sanchez set the bar quite low, let's be honest. We know he's got that, that bozo gene everyone likes to laugh about. So he does have that. I mean, we saw that with the sending off at Old Trafford. I just think the fact that Chelsea, even after what Maresca won 3 or 4 months ago, the fact that they're thinking, okay, he's under pressure because he's not kicking on as much as we would like, it's a concern for Maresca. It shows how maybe serious Chelsea are about finishing high up in the table. I know that sounds quite a silly thing to say, because you think all ownership models, especially from the States, would be like that. But we've seen for years the Glazers, the Kroenkes, there was a long period of time where those two really just preferred just top 4 finishes, and that was it because of the Champions League money. But I think that with the amount of investment that's gone into Chelsea, because I know everyone talks about how much they spent in the first year of the ownership, but ever since then, there's been a lot of players leaving, I think a lot of good signings have come in that fit. A lot of good signings have come in that fit, but I just think I'm not surprised, given the way the ownership model is. We saw them sack Poch after a good run to the end of the season. So I'm not surprised. I mean, what's the record? I think they're looking here. I think it's 2 wins, 2 draws, and 2 losses. super duper Mick has got 4 wins, a draw and a loss. And I think if you're being outperformed by Mikel Arteta, maybe then that's the ownership are looking at thinking, well, yeah, maybe we should be putting the manager under some pressure, especially with, I think they have 3 losses in a row now, Bayern, United and Brighton. So I think he's in a tough position even as early as the end of September now.
Where's your head, Adam and Shane? Because obviously Arsenal have spent the 1.3 billion, but Chelsea have spent nearly 2 billion under this ownership in the last couple of years. Now I know a good portion of that was with other managers, but like you look at how Chelsea naturally, traditionally turn over managers, even in the Roman era where they weren't winning trophies. Do you think like Chelsea are in that similar position where Arsenal are in terms of money spent, kind of in the top 4, but kind of need that next step? Do you think Maresca and Chelsea are at that stage now, or do you think they're in a similar position to maybe what Arsenal were maybe in 21-22 when you were just kind of getting back to nearly top 4 stages and being consistently in the top 4?
With Chelsea, I'll tell you one thing: he definitely won't get 6 years the way Arteta's gotten. There's no way he'll get that amount of time. I could see him sacked. You don't know with Chelsea. You could see him getting sacked next week, and you wouldn't be surprised. That way you might go, oh well, I thought he'd get a bit more time, but you wouldn't be stunned. But you could also see him getting the season. With their signings, I don't like this idea of the club making the signings and the manager having no say. With us, it's gotten to the point now where I do want that, because Arteta's track record is so bad with signings. About 70% have been absolute unmitigated flops. So I do want it being taken out of his hands. But when a new manager comes in, he definitely has to have a massive say in it, because, did he want Gittins and Garnacho and all? I don't know if he did. I mean, it seems like an odd one to me. That seems like business, that someone's saying, well, even if they don't work out, we could probably sell them for either the same or maybe even a bit more. They'll still have sell-on value and all that sort of stuff. But I'm with Julio. I had Chelsea finished ahead of Arsenal this season. I thought Chelsea would be in 3rd place. I thought they'd finish 3rd. I thought they'd kick on. But that was on the condition that they signed a goalkeeper though. That I said they have to sign a goalkeeper. I'm with you, Keane. I said, why on earth aren't they in for Kelleher? Why aren't they in for Kelleher? Yeah. It's crazy that they didn't go for him, because he suits their profile as well. He's young, set on value, all of that stuff. It was mad to me, because that Sanchez lad he's a joke for me. He's like Onana for me. He's one of those. He makes dramatic saves that look great, but then he'll kick the ball into his own net or something. You know what I mean? It's not good enough. So for me, Chelsea have sort of surprised me. Like Julio said, that the lap injury was unlucky. João Pedro started really well, and now he's sort of getting sucked into the whole Chelsea thing, I suppose you'd call it. But I still think they'll be okay. They could easily go on and do a double in the cups or something like that. You wouldn't be surprised, you know what I mean? But funnily enough, I have them out of all the English teams to go furthest in the Champions League. I think that they have the team to go. Kenny Ken's the same. Kenny Ken has said the same as me. I just have a sneaky feeling that they'll go far in the Champions League. And if they're in the quarterfinals and they're in 4th or 5th place, they'll just bin off the league and go all out for the Champions League. They'll bin off the league, where Arteta will try and get 2nd place, and he'll try and, keep the league finish. But with Chelsea, yeah, like I said, if you were to wake up tomorrow and they said that he's been sacked, you'd be slightly surprised, but you wouldn't be stunned. So Chelsea are a very hard team to read, But I still think they'll be okay. They have a big squad. They have a lot of sort of what you call big time Charlies back in the day. A lot of like those Garnacho type players. So they do need to watch out for that. But I'd still have Chelsea as. I still think they might get top 5, depending on if they're still in the Champions League or not. But yeah, I'm still not sold on Maresca. I don't know. Sometimes I think he's good, and sometimes I think he's just another one of these, fancy young managers. It's very hard to tell.
Yeah, sometimes they're like thing with Chelsea is sometimes they play really good attacking football, and other times then it's a bit pragmatic. Like I remember at Old Trafford there last week, like when he made all the subs, I was kind of like, you're kind of handing the game to us, and then only for the rush of blood for Casemiro, then like we let him back into the game. But it's one of them. I think if they don't improve quickly, it could happen like it happened with Graham Potter, where So it just drops and he just get the sack. And we have a question in there. Who's more stubborn, Amorim or Arteta? I'll let you two take that one.
I think that's impossible to split them. I think they're both so stubborn that you can't really get more stubborn. Amorim with the formation, not playing Mainu, and just Arteta with his they're both as bad as each other. They're both as bad as each other. I don't think you can get more stubborn than either of them. So they have to be pretty equal on that for me.
Just to hate them both. You know that Rio Ferdinand clip where he says, "Just enjoy them both. Just hate them both."
Yeah, facts. They're both as bad as each other.
Yeah. On that as well, to watch Shane, you brought up Kobbie Mainoo, so I'm actually I'd like to get your perspective on it actually as an outsider. What do you make of that whole Mainoo situation at the moment?
That is just like that question. It's just stubbornness. It's just stubbornness at this point. It doesn't suit my system, so I won't adjust it to get him in. That's all it is. Oh, a lot of these managers come in and they look at the fan favorite, and they go, right, well, I'll make an example of him to show that I'm the boss. Arteta did it with Kieran Tierney. Everybody wanted him as captain when he came in. You asked any Arsenal fan back then who's going to be our proper captain, and it was always Kieran, always Tierney. Tierney's our captain. He should be our captain. Make him captain next season. So he gets frozen out because Arteta's saying, "What, you want him as captain? Right, well, I'll show you. He's not my captain." So that's all.
Martin Odegaard.
It gave it to Martin Odegaard. Yeah, little yes man will sit in the corner and do what he says. So for me, it could be something as simple as that. It could be something as simple as that. It could be something as simple as, I'll show you. You better adjust to my style of play. And you'd think with Mainu being a young player, he could adjust. But I get the feeling that no matter what he does in training, it's not going to work. It's the same for Ethan Nwaneri at Arsenal. Exact same. People saying, oh, well, he must have been injured. No, he wasn't. He was just left out of the squad against Newcastle. So Arteta went with Saka, who's not fit, and nobody who can naturally come in from out the right. So you had to bring Martinelli on. And then he had a 15-year-old. So that, again, they love just making examples of certain players. I'll teach you, tough love, whatever way they want to look at it. So with the Mainu thing, I know he tried to push for a loan. He should have pushed harder. He should have gone to Napoli or something like that, man, and ball out with Conte before the World Cup. Because I think he's a top player. I think he's probably your best midfielder right now. You look at the way Bruno's playing. I think Mainu would be the man to put in. But again, stubbornness has got these managers, the Artetas and the Amorims. They have certain things that will be the hill they die on. And Amorim, with his tactics and his refusal to play the likes of Mainu, that's what will drive him out the door in the end. And Arteta the same with refusal to play attacking football and things. That's what will drive him out as well. Yeah,
and like I said it before, it's like, if you can't get a player as talented as Kobbie Mainoo into your team because of your system, the problem isn't the player, it's the system. And that's kind of where we're at that one. We're going to wrap up. I was going to talk about Graham Potter sacking, but fuck that. I don't rate the man. I'm not even going to get into that. He's just a crap manager and he's another hipster. Come to quick fire questions to the boys. Firstly, I'll go to you, Shane. What's the better team for Arsenal, the 98 team or the 2004 Invincibles?
So if they were to play each other?
Just in general, who do you think was the better team in your time watching Arsenal?
Probably the 98 team. Probably the 98 team, just the 98 team. They still had the back five over my... Do you know what? No, I'll have to go to 2004 because when I did my best 11, more the 2014 got into it than the 98 team. So I will go to 2014. But I'm with Kenny Ken and DJB that the 2002 team was the best of the three of them. 2002
really,
team was slightly better. Yeah. It was slightly better. That's
better. The team that won the league at Old Trafford, didn't they?
Yeah, they were slightly better. Just because of the age of the players and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, so like the age of the players and where they were. Would you be inclined to say the same, Julio, kind of between 98, 2002, 2004? Where would your head be at in terms of the teams?
I respect the 2002 view. Actually, it's not something I've ever really considered, but the fact that he's just put it on there for me, I'm just thinking, oh damn! Actually, you know what? Now I think about it, I would have said 98, just because I can't look at the Invincible team without laughing at them as the team that drew loads of games. I know the Invincible record is good and that, but I think I just prefer the 98 team.
Isn't it
It
mad
was just,
actually?
I
with
think
that
also,
98
I think as
team?
well. I think as well. Actually, I was born in the year 2000, and I find myself going to see what was before my time. So I feel like the more I look at it, I feel like I maybe appreciate it more because it was before my time. I don't know if there's that's some kind of
Well, the 98 team
special
was
kind of
fantastic.
bias there, but
The 98 team was probably more devastating. They played a bit more counter-attacking football, and whenever we counter-attack, you had Anelka and Overmars counter-attacking, two of the fastest players I've ever seen. We were devastating with Bergkamp playing them through. The only thing is with the 2002, 2004, the bench was stronger and they had Henry. You know what I mean? They're probably the best player the Premier League's ever seen. So you have to look at it that way. Perez was better than Overmars, which is some doing. I preferred Petit over Gilberto. I think Petit was better than Gilberto, but Vieira was in both. Ray Parlour was fantastic in 98, but then we had Freddie Umber, but I just think Ray Parlour pips him. And then you look at the 98 back four, the classic back four. So that has to take it. Shorty, Seaman, Adams, Bold, Dixon, Winterburn has to take it from any back four we've ever had. So there's arguments for both. There's arguments for both. I'd love to see it if AI can mock up them playing each other 10 times just to see what happens. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's
Julio's
a tough one.
currently on Cat PVT now as we speak.
There you go. But the thing is, you could ask me this tomorrow. Yeah, you could ask me this tomorrow and I'd change my mind. You know what I mean? It's one of those. It's that close that my mood could make me pick someone different. But yeah, I'm with Kenny Kennedy DJB that the 2002 pips it just for age. We had Will Tord and Kanu and stuff were still playing well. So yeah,
I'm going to drop that into your comment section tomorrow, 98 or 2004. I'm just
yeah,
going to
see how I feel
there in your comment section, and see the people that disagree. And just I suppose the United spin on it. Then I go to you first, Shane. 99 or 2008 United?
99 all the way. 99. I look the 2008 United was fantastic. The three up front and Carrick. You know what I think about Carrick and all these lads. I think they're all unbelievable. But the 99 team, just for having playing two forwards and having four class forwards to pick from, Beckham, Giggs, the equilibrium in that midfield of like Scholes, Keane, Beckham, Giggs. Then you have a choice of up front of Cole, York, Sheringham, Solskjaer. No, Schmeichel to me is the best keeper ever as well. So you know what I mean. So they have Gary Neville was already nailed down, and that 99 team was ridiculous. That 99 team was ridiculous. But again, it's very, very, very close, because you look at then the front line of Tevez, Ronaldo, and Rooney and stuff like that, and you go, well, hang on, how can you not pick them? But I do think that the 99 team would beat them if they played them. I think they'd beat them.
Are you in the same boat, Julio? Because I think some of the other arguments on the 2008 side would be most of that team kept the British clean sheet record. They've done the double. They bottled the treble obviously against Portsmouth in the FA Cup that year. Are you in the same boat, or do you go with the more, I suppose, the other team with Ronaldo in it? Where's your head?
I think I don't like to use the word bottle for that Portsmouth game, because if you go back and watch that game, that is one of the weirdest games I've ever watched in my life. We were all over them. We should have scored at least 2 or 3. The ball just would not. I don't understand. There were moments where there was an open goal, Carrick slid in, and somehow I think Sol Campbell might have gotten ahead of him and stopped him from sliding that into the goal. And then they go up the other end and get some weird penalty, which might not have happened because I think Kushak was the sub goalie who was subbed in anyways.
And all the subs were made, yeah.
Oh, it's such a weird game. But if that hadn't have happened, we would have won another treble. So, but I think that personally, I think the 08 side is better, not just because it might be partly because it's more in my lifetime. So I grew up watching it and experiencing it, but there felt like I loved the idea of I'm obviously upset to say like likes of Beckham weren't there, for example, but I appreciated how the original class of 92 obviously were more grown up, more experienced, more seasoned vets who were still giving it their all and to a good enough level as well. And when you look at like you had other players in there like Park, for example. You know, players, I always love players like that who would come in and do a job and do something a bit different to what already plays every week. So, and obviously forget the fact that Ballon d'Or when Cristiano Ronaldo is in that team, forget that I personally think Van der Sar is United's best ever keeper, and he'd actually be so good today as well. He made everything look so easy. He's very good with his feet as well. So I just think for me, and the fact that he had that clean sheet record, he didn't need the amazing saves that Schmeichel did, because his positioning, his footwork was incredible. He never needed to dive like so theatrically to make a really good save, because he was already behind it, which is something I think is lost in goalkeepers these days. But I think, I don't know, I just think the 08 side is better for me. I think I appreciate maybe the variety a bit more. I don't know if that's probably the word to use it, but at the same time, 4 quality strikers in 99. We had Rooney, Ronaldo, Tevez. We had an injury-prone Luis Saha, who, if he wasn't injury-prone, Lord knows what more could have happened. But I don't know. It's tough, but I'll always say the 08 side. I think they hold a special place in my heart.
We have Suge also on the chat, the legend that is Suge. He says, big up Keane, Julio and Sean. Unpopular opinion, as much as I hate United, bring back the 99 United. Football needs that United and Arsenal rivalry. Yes, greatest rivalry in Premier League. Fergie and Wenger going at it for years. It's peak Premier League. It's mad. Like I'd say 99 like Shane. I think they just the run they went on from like Christmas to the treble with that team. I think that just pips it. My mother always says to me 94 United was probably one of our best teams as well.
They were brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. But on that, I always like to end with a trivia question. So that's why I wanted to end on that with the lads, because we're both in a weird situation with both of our clubs, and it's good to talk about the good times as it is. But we will wrap it up there. Thanks very much to both Shane and Julio for coming on. Julio, what's coming up in your channel next?
Well, it's difficult to say at the moment because I've recorded 3 videos in the last week, and they're all just pretty much slagging off Amorim, to be honest, in the politest way possible, and Ineos as well, to be fair. And I'm still deciding whether to re-record them or
throw them all out. You may anyway.
But I just think, I'm trying to get more content out, trying to get stuff out there, because now there's more of an opportunity for me to do so with time and work, etc. There might be a big change of some kind coming along. The international break might come sooner. I don't know yet. We'll wait and see on that. But come and check it out. You'll see my 40-minute polite crash out from the Grimsby game. That's always worth a watch. So yeah, see what happens. Watch this space.
Yeah, cheers for coming on, Julio. Do go over and subscribe to Red Brew there as well, lads. And Shane, what do you have coming up next on your channel?
Yeah, well, just it's off topic, but I've only gone X a while ago. I put up. Someone said to me, the Jews out of nowhere, the Jews have a player named Glenn Helder. If anybody's younger, they remember him in the mid-90s. He was basically, I loved him when he signed, because we didn't have many foreign players and we signed this Glenn Helder, and he was quick, but it ended up that he was pretty shit, right? But someone said, did you have a player named Glenn Helder, or am I imagining this? And I said, yeah, mid-90s, he was shit. And then Glenn Helder himself just tweeted, said, sorry, Shane, I should have played much better, but I was young and stupid and didn't live like a professional. Sorry, my friend. Greetings, Glenn. I'm like, shit. Oh, man. I feel like shit now. And then I said, funny thing is, because I did actually have his name on the back of my kit, because when we signed him, I got Helder on the back. Said anyone who played for Arsenal's a legend in my eyes, and he's just put back laughing emojis. Thanks, Shane. All the best. I feel like shit now, man. Playing Helder after offending him.
That reminds me about the time I slagged off Gary Neville, and he fucking quote tweeted me, and the whole of Twitter started cooking me then.
But the funny thing is, I did love him. I loved him for the first couple of weeks because he was quick and he had tricks, and then it just turned out to be shit. But he must have been going through some stuff, because he said he wasn't handling himself like a professional. Now I feel like dirt. But I'll be on the Full Irish tomorrow, putting out a public apology to Glenn Helder at 11:30 tomorrow morning. And then I'll be on with Aaron actually for the OG show tonight in about an hour and 20 minutes, I'd imagine, over on Aaron Talks Arsenal's channel. But big up having me on, man. Absolute pleasure as always. And big up to Julio, man. It's lovely to meet you. Proper football fan and knows the stuff, and that's what it's all about. I had a really good time.
Yeah, cheers to both of you for coming on as well. It's good to finally get a show with you as well, Shane. Love your channel, and it's good to see some straight up talk. Joe, and there's no rivalry and tribalism bullshit that's usually out there.
No,
and we're not cartoon characters like some of them other fans out there. But on that note, we will wrap up. Do subscribe here. I'll be back on Friday with the Sunderland preview, and then also we'll be talking the international break and hopefully Ireland qualifying for the World Cup. But some hope in that, 2 hopes, Bob hope and no hope. Well, until then, guys, we will talk to you later. We'll see you soon.